What if I told you the US has been hiding a stealth aircraft so advanced, it can literally vanish from both radar and human sight? Buckle up, because this is the untold story of the X-44 Manta, a $300 million nightmare for Russia and China. The Pentagon's big reveal, unmasking the Manta. The story of the X-44 Manta begins with whispers, rumors, and what many dismissed as science fiction. For decades, the Pentagon kept this aircraft locked behind top-secret files, feeding speculation but offering no confirmation. Now, declassified information has pulled the curtain back, and what we see is nothing short of jaw-dropping. Developed under Lockheed Martin's legendary Skunk Works division, the Manta was never meant to be an ordinary fighter. From the ground up, it was designed to break every convention in aviation, starting with its radical tailless design. No vertical stabilizers or familiar silhouette to betray it in the skies. Just a sleek Manta ray-inspired profile that reduces radar signature to the point of near invisibility. But invisibility isn't just about radar. Early documents and leaked images suggest that the Manta incorporates something known as parallax coating, a skin technology that tricks the human eye by projecting images of its surroundings, essentially cloaking itself in real time. Imagine looking at the sky and what you thought was empty space is actually a stealth jet flying overhead. That's the level of concealment we're talking about here. The Pentagon has reportedly poured more than $300 million into this project, not to create another fighter, but to change the rules of aerial warfare entirely. Russia and China both have stealth programs of their own, but nothing that vanishes like this. For them, the Manta isn't just a rival, it's a nightmare. Origins in the shadows. Lockheed Martin's bold experiment. To understand the X-44, we have to rewind to the 1990s to its true origins. Back then, the US military was in an arms race with the future, experimenting with aerodynamics and stealth concepts that seemed almost too radical to pursue. Most of these designs stayed on paper, but one project, tucked away at Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works, pushed forward: the Manta. The decision to ditch the traditional tail wasn't just cosmetic. By eliminating stabilizers and control surfaces, the Manta drastically reduced drag and radar cross-section. Engineers knew this was risky. Stability would be harder to control, flight systems would need advanced software, and pilots would face a steep learning curve. But the payoff was enormous. A tailless aircraft isn't just harder to detect, it's also more agile in the right conditions. This futuristic design allowed the Manta to reach speeds beyond Mach 1 in seconds, climb to nearly 70,000 feet, and cover over 3,000 nautical miles with aerial refueling. That's global reach with lightning speed. Combine that with stealth, and suddenly you have an aircraft that can appear anywhere, strike, and vanish before an enemy even knows it was there. Interestingly, early on, the Manta was often confused with other stealth projects, like the F-22 or even the canceled Aurora spy plane. Its radical profile was too strange for many to believe. In fact, when news first leaked, some dismissed it as a hoax. But Lockheed's quiet persistence kept the program alive, and now the Manta has stepped out of the shadows, no longer a myth, but a very real threat. Performance that redefines combat. On paper, the Manta reads like something out of a futuristic war novel. In practice, its performance is even scarier. Let's start with speed. This aircraft can hit 1,740 miles per hour, breaking the sound barrier with casual ease. Unlike most jets that burn enormous fuel reserves just to maintain supersonic flight, the Manta does it efficiently, thanks to its aerodynamic body and next-gen propulsion systems. Altitude is another strength. At nearly 69,000 feet, the the Manta can fly above most traditional interceptors and surface-to-air missile systems. This ceiling makes it almost untouchable, especially when combined with its stealth profile. Imagine trying to swat a ghost that's not only invisible but also flying at twice the height of your best interceptors. Then there's endurance. With aerial refueling, the Manta can stay in the fight for over 50 hours. That's more than 2 full days of continuous operation, turning it from a fighter jet into a roaming predator in the skies. But the real kicker is versatility. The Manta isn't just fast or stealthy. It's designed for both reconnaissance and strike missions. It can map out a battlefield with real-time precision, feed targeting data to other aircraft, and then carry out its own attacks without ever revealing its position. Traditional fighters are either scouts or strikers. The Manta is both, rolled into one. This combination of speed, altitude, and stealth makes it more than just another aircraft. It's a strategic weapon designed to overwhelm opponents before they can even react. And that's exactly why both Moscow and Beijing are losing sleep over it. Ghost in the sky, the parallax cloaking system. If speed and stealth weren't intimidating enough, the Manta brings a feature that sounds more like comic book science than military hardware. Enter parallax coating, the cloaking technology that gives the Manta its near-mythical invisibility. Here's how it works. The aircraft's skin is embedded with advanced sensors and display panels that capture and project its surroundings in real time. The bottom of the jet transmits the view of the sky above it, while the top reflects the ground below. To an observer, whether on radar or even with the naked eye, the Manta literally melts into the background. 1 second you see sky, the next, the jet is gone. And if you think it's camouflage, well, it's dynamic concealment. Unlike static stealth coatings that absorb radar waves, parallax adapts on the fly, recalibrating as the environment changes. Flying over desert, the Manta blends into sand hues. Skimming above the ocean, it mirrors the sea's shifting blue-gray surface. Now imagine the tactical advantage this gives in combat. Enemy radar can't track it, pilots can't see it, and by the time missiles lock on, the Manta has already vanished. Even advanced anti-air systems in Russia and China, like the S-400 or S-500, struggle against traditional stealth aircraft, but against parallax, they're almost useless. It's not hard to see why this feature terrifies adversaries. For decades, militaries have trained to detect what they can't hit. With the Manta, they may not even know what's hitting them in the first place. First night, first strike, how the X-44 would fight a peer. So, how does the Manta actually fight when the gloves come off? Picture night 1 of a major war against a peer like China or Russia. Before tanks roll or ships move, the skies get messy, and that's where the X-44 writes its opening act. Its first job: hunting down enemy air defenses, the dreaded SAM sites and radar emitters that form the backbone of what's called an anti-access area denial bubble. The Manta sneaks in high and fast, quietly mapping out every emitter, then feeding the coordinates to standoff missiles or Allied bombers. Within minutes, seams open up in the enemy's shield before defenders even stabilize. And it doesn't stop there. Maritime commanders have nightmares about unknowns appearing on their radar scopes, because the Manta could dive onto fleets, pick out key destroyers or carriers, and vanish before ships even lock on. Add time-sensitive missions like tracking mobile launchers or pop-up missile sites, and the Manta turns into a supersonic nightmare, collapsing enemy reaction cycles into seconds. Of course, no system is perfect. Rivals are already looking at long-wave radars, infrared sensors, and space-based tracking. But the Manta's speed, altitude, and cloak aim to out-angle all of it. The real weak spot: fuel. tankers become its lifeline and its Achilles heel. In short, if you're Moscow or Beijing, this is not just a problem but a migraine that keeps getting worse. Under the spotlight, what's real, what's rumor, and what are the risks? Now here's the tricky part. How much of this is confirmed fact and how much is just carefully leaked theater? That's the game with black programs. They thrive on ambiguity because uncertainty alone can force adversaries to spend billions chasing shadows. The tailless stealth design, absolutely real. The wild performance specs, Mach 2-, 70,000-foot ceiling, plausible but unverified outside Lockheed's files. And that parallax invisibility coating, brilliant on paper but the physics get messy fast. Generating real-time visuals across an entire fuselage means enormous power draw, thermal buildup, and plenty of failure modes when weather or angles shift. Then there's cost. At $300 million a copy, the Manta isn't something you risk on casual patrols. Lose one, and it's not just dollars. It's secrets that can't be replaced. Which means every mission has to be worth the gamble. Declassification also has its ripple effect. The moment you show the world what you've got, rivals sprint to upgrade radars, passive detection nets, and anti-stealth doctrine. Suddenly, you're fueling the very innovation you were trying to outpace. Even if half the rumors are smoke, the message is loud and clear. The future is stealthier, faster, and more autonomous. And that alone rewrites every playbook on both sides. The public face of skunk works. Why the X-59 matters. Not all of Lockheed's exotic projects hide in the dark. Some get paraded in daylight, like the X-59 QSST, NASA's quiet supersonic demonstrator. At first glance, it's a totally different machine. But look closer, and you see the family resemblance. The X-59 is tackling a different kind of signature: sound. Instead of a thunderous sonic boom rattling windows, it's engineered to spread out and soften that shock into something like a muted thump. How? By stretching the jet into a long, needle-nose profile, ditching the forward windscreen for a camera-fed cockpit, and carefully balancing loads with composite materials. Every choice is about controlling perception. And that's the link to the Manta. If the X-59 proves you can tame what people hear, then the X-44 shows you can manage what they see or don't see. Two branches of the same tree, shaping signatures until the environment itself becomes your camouflage. Unlike the Manta, the X-59's path is public. Years of design, wind tunnel tests, simulator runs, and eventually, flights over real cities to collect data for regulators. That credibility matters because it shows Lockheed and NASA can execute hard aerospace problems end to end. So when rivals hear whispers about a jet that disappears on radar and sight, they don't laugh. They pay attention because this culture has receipts. The X-44 Manta proves the future of air combat is already here, silent, fast, and terrifyingly clever. If you want to keep up with these game-changing stories, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned.